Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Dance Teacher Awards. My name is Rianne Rodriguez, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Dance Teacher and Dance Teacher Plus. Each year, Dance Teacher honors extraordinary educators in the US and abroad for their incredible contributions to the field. We receive hundreds of nominations annually, and the selection committee carefully reviews each submission to identify exceptional educators who are not just shaping talent and technique, but who are also inspiring the next generation of artists, leaders, and thinkers. Dance educators who have made an outsized impact in their communities and are bringing out the very best in their students. We'd like to especially thank our sponsors, 22TIX, 92NY Dance Education Laboratory, Dance Theater of Harlem, and Dance NYC, and to each one of you for joining us to celebrate this momentous occasion. Today, we are thrilled to honor Ronald K Alexander, who continues to open doors for young ballet dancers of color, Antonio and Kervin Douthit Boyd, who are guiding the next generation through their Center of Creative Arts institution in St. Louis, Missouri, Christine Elliott, who is using ballet to promote diversity and social change, Ananeri Fragoso, who fosters community and collaboration through teaching elementary school children, leading professional development workshops for educators, and mentoring future teachers as the director of the Arnhold Graduate Dance Education Program at Hunter College. And Yvonne Gutierrez, a heralded flamenco, salsa, and Spanish dance artist and educator who is renowned for her use of dance education to serve overlooked communities and promote HIV/AIDS awareness. We're also thrilled to be able to celebrate not just one, but two awardees of distinction this year. Kay Mazo, a symbol of strength and grace in the ballet world who's preserving the legacy of George Balanchine, and Risa Steinberg, a beloved dance educator who's known for her challenging, illuminating Limon classes and for being a mentor for some of contemporary dance's most exciting dance makers, including Kyle Abraham, Kate Weir, and Brian Brooks. Brian is here with us today to accept the award on Risa's behalf. Welcome, Brian. We're so delighted to have you with us today. The proceeds from today's cocktail party fund the Dance Teacher Scholarship at Move NYC, a cause that is very dear to our hearts. And now, I'd like to kick off this evening's ceremony by announcing our special guest, the Artistic Director of Ailey 2, Francesca Harper.
Hello, good afternoon.
Francesca, such an honor to have you here amongst such incredible, inspiring dance educators. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. I have to tell you, it is just really moving. I see my idols here, so many of my idols, and then these beautiful artists continuing to nurture the next generation. What a wonderful gathering.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure many of us are very eager to hear from you. So let's jump right in. Some of our questions today are asked by our main sponsor, 22TIX. So my first question to you is, what is the most important skill you've gained from having an education in dance?
Discipline, definitely. Discipline, I think. Discipline is a big one. Another one I can think of is humility. I think from all the collaborative work that we do with other artists and musicians and the artists or teachers even growing up, for me that was a very humbling experience. Even watching in the studio as a young girl, I would watch kind of artists going through their process and just in awe of their humanity behind the work and also, of course, their passion and full expression. And then I think perseverance is really the ultimate one, right? Is this idea which connects to the discipline, but of just having your goals in sight and then just staying on course until you achieve them. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. That is all very, very true.
Right? I guess so, right, yes.
You were named the artistic director of Ailey too. That was like a homecoming.
Yes, it was. It is. It still is. Yes, yes.
Can you talk about your time as an Ailey baby?
I can. Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. Yes, Melanie Person is going to laugh at me because I'm going to start with the bassinet in the studio. I think my journey started really, my mother was a dancer. She was here in New York, and she had trained at the Martha Graham School. She got a scholarship here. She kind of came on a whim and said, I want to bring my daughter and to grow up in New York City, because I think she thought it was important to expose me to what I was exposed to as a young girl of color. So, she started bringing me into the studio. She was a member of the Pearl Lang dance company at the time. So I would be in the studio with her, and I think that was the connection to Alvin, because at the time, Pearl was the associate artistic director of the Alvin Ailey Company. So I think that was kind of how she introduced my mother to the Alvin Ailey, and then I ended up kind of growing up in the school. And my mother was a single mother, so she was working very hard, so I was with her all the time, just kind of, her little partner in crime, and going to the studio at Alvin Ailey. And so I grew up around these incredible luminaries, the teachers. I can still see them in the teachers' dressing room. Dolores Brown, I remember, yes. I would see all these amazing teachers in the faculty dressing room and teaching, and I remember also just watching them and taking classes. I was enrolled at some point, my mother enrolled me in the children's program. I remember taking my first African class there.
What was that?
Oh my gosh. To this day, it was one of the most incredible experiences, although I really had a career in ballet. For me, that moment of taking African for the first time as a child, it felt organic and it felt right. And it was so interesting to feel that and be kind of growing up in America and feel those deep roots connected with Africa. So that was an interesting, I'll never forget that with Figueroa, I think was the teacher's name at the time. Remember Figgy? Yes, Ron. Mm-hmm. So yes, and then I grew up also watching all of these dancers come through the school. There was the third company at the time. It was the third company, and then the second company, and then the main company. I remember Gary DeLoach. I remember Renee Robinson, the day that she came into the school. My mother came, she's like, Francesca, you have to meet this she's just beautiful. I think came from NYU, and she's just like, oh, she's just divine. And then she went through the school and the third company and the second company and then the main company to become this incredible star. So it was watching that, and then our community back then, the Alvin Ailey community, they were the open doors. So I was constantly watching the main company, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in rehearsals, and Gary DeLoach and Keith McDaniel, and like all of these incredible artists just working to get the art right, And so I learned so much from watching them process, even though they weren't speaking. I felt like I learned so much from them. So that was it, kind of growing up in that community. I was also studying ballet at the time. I was very passionate about ballet and was at the School of American Ballet, so I was going back and forth to Alvin Ailey, doing both, which was great to kind of be in New York and be exposed to ballet and modern and Horton and jazz, and just that multiplicity was something we had at Ailey that was very unique, And I just have to share, this is one story that was a funny story. When I auditioned, I think I had kind of grown up in the school, and it was time. I was graduating from high school, and I went to the Ailey audition. So all my friends were going, Jean-Emile, and it was like the time. So we all went, and I wore my Deschank point shoes. Yeah, I did, because I just, I just had this affinity for ballet too, and I wore my shoes. And Alvin, who had known me since I was a little kid, took me in the office afterwards and said, listen, Francesca, you have a place in our second company if you want. He said, but I think you really want to pursue ballet. And I want to encourage you, because we don't have any trailblazers in ballet at the time. And I leapt into his arms and gave him the biggest hug and went up to Dance Theater of Harlem and got a job next the following week.
Wow.
But he told me that day, he said, you will always have a home here, Francesca.
That's
and
beautiful.
And here I am. So I just think it's really just ironic, but just that generosity already, and, at this point in my life, to remember that and to have had that invitation is just like nothing else, the community that I had growing up at Alvin Ailey.
Right, and that's what's so wonderful, he gave you that opportunity, and that's what we're celebrating today.
Yes.
That ability to give students and
That's right.
dancers, the next generation, that ability to do what they love.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you all.
So you've enjoyed a successful professional career as a dancer. You were at Dance Theater of Harlem, you were at William Forsyth's Ballet Frankfurt, etc. And now you're in an influential position to shape the future of the next generation at Ailey too. So tell us about your vision for the company, and also how are you inspiring and guiding the young dancers who want to make a career in dance?
Well, I'll tell you, this has been such a monumental kind of position to take. Like, my goals have become very kind of small and specific in really just wanting to nurture and lead with love. And so I think that for me is just going into the studio every day and making sure that my team, my rehearsal director, Lakey Evans-Pena, and the dancers all know that they are supported, that I want to empower them. That is like that empowerment that I received from Alvin, from my mother, from my teachers at Alvin Ailey, is just that reciprocity is something that I just want to carry forward. So it starts just with that seedling of empowering and making sure they feel inspired, right, and motivated. So that has been really wonderful, to just have the opportunity to go into the studio, be in that process, and have 8 hours a day to do it, and learn and just fall in love with the dancers. We always talk about, we're becoming family through the process.
100%.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. That's a big responsibility on your hands.
No, it is. But I think also one of the reasons that I'm probably here and in this position is also just with having to keep my gaze towards the future. And I'm a little bit of a risk taker, which is a good thing, and I think just part of my vision is to develop, different formatting and see where we can go, and like what can dance, as we see from the pandemic, that we have dance films now. There are just all these new opportunities to create dance and reformat dance, so that's exciting. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So Kervin Douthit Boyd, he talked very fondly about your mother in his awardee profile. He said, "I give her all the flowers. She was so nurturing and knew how to gain her students' love and respect. I think of her fondly often, and I'm led by her example in how I teach my students. What was it like for you to learn from your mother and mentor Denise Jefferson?"
Woo. She was a special lady. She was intense. She was very intense, but this wonderful dichotomy of being intense and joy. It was like, I remember waking up, she would be at my door, and she's like, "Hi, Francesca, good morning, let's go," like every morning. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired, how do you do it, It was so sweet to just see her every morning. She loved her work so passionately. And I realized in turn, by growing up with her, just being so dedicated and receiving so much from the art form, that just inspired me, and it kind of gave me this resilience. I think she also had a very deep work ethic. And she was very much about, like, I don't want to hear the drama, Fran. Like, I'd be like, oh, I was a teenager, and there was all the drama. And she was like, I don't want to hear it. She was like, it's about the work. It is about getting back, ultimately about the work, and staying focused on the work. So all that drama that you're talking about, I don't want to hear it, just get to the work, which was interesting for me. And now also it gives me a little kind of empirical or distance from the work. It helps me be a little bit more mindful and take things less personally. And she was just very rigorous, but it was this wonderful combination of the joy and also striving for excellence. I think she was very much tapped into Alvin's mission and understanding that this was really an opportunity for, minorities and disenfranchised voices. And, the people and the stories that she would bring home to me were just, there's one that comes to mind. I remember she was just worried about a student and the mother, and the student was trying to help the mother pay for rent and the light bill, and Fran, how do we get the money for this student? She's got to keep dancing. And those stories were just constantly in our house. And I think they motivated her to kind of get up and work harder. And so, there was this real kind of connection to social justice and civil rights and, feminism and all that wonderful stuff that your generation inspired us to kind of be mindful of in our values and what we stood for and what we stand for. And that for me really, those are the traits and the characteristics that really inspired me and held me, sustained me.
And so it was all dance all the time, 24/7?
No, it was dance and movies. It was dance and glamour. We called her the Lucille Ball of our family because she was really a comedian. She was very funny. I remember her also walking around Ailey, like with her Crocs and her little Uggs. And, she just had this, she really liked being kind of idiosyncratic and funky and, So we had lots of influences. I think she really also, education was big for my family and my mother and my aunt. So there were a lot of kind of, conversations that were driven by intellectual discourse and politics, and that was a lot of it, and also just right, like I said, like the movies and glamour and documentation of art making. Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a very happy home.
Yes, yeah.
Was there any question that you could not be a dancer growing up with your mother, who was so influential in your life?
Oh yeah, she did. I remember there was one moment, I must have been around 15, and I remember just saying, oh, I'm so tired of dance. And she said, okay, Fran, well, you don't have to do it. I'd be perfectly fine if you were a doctor, a lawyer, if you want, you can make good money. And, and she was very pragmatic that way. It was like, okay, it was very direct. And I remember that moment, and I remember that was the moment that I said, oh, no, I want to do this for me. And that was a turning point for me, that she was like, okay, well, you don't have to do it. And I thought, okay, that was really smart. Yeah, she was, smart advice.
Reinforcement the other way?
Right, no, I was not advice exactly, right, that psychological kind of, right, a strategy that she used on me. But I think that, that was really, that was a moment that I was really introspective and like, okay, do I want to do this? Because I knew how hard it was going to be from all my training, so I think that was like, okay, well, I'm invested now, so let's go.
We're so glad.
Oh, thank you.
So what is it that made you come back to teach at Ailey, besides your mom? And what is it like teaching at the same place you grew up?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's interesting because that story for me, when my mom was very sick, it was like 2008, and I remember just being very depressed. And so I ended up going back to Ailey, and all I could do, I was teaching 2 classes a week. I think Melanie and Tracy gave me like these consistent classes a week, and I just said, that's all I can manage. And so it had just helped me to kind of have those classes and have purpose in that moment. And so I taught those 2 classes. I think it was it was for over 10 years. But that particular period, that's all I was doing, those 2 classes. And I just needed to be around Ailey. I needed that sense of belonging and community and support. So that, you talk about teaching and the depth and the resonance of that moment for me was really so important and so wonderful to have that that support during that time. What was your other question?
Oh, what was it like teaching at the same place you grew up?
Oh, it's like home. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it, to see the same people that I've seen for so many years, just decades, kind of come through those halls and come back to those halls. It's just also really life-affirming in this very challenging time to have a place that, you have familiar faces and you have support, I think Alvin really, that is one thing that we can have as, these wonderful kind of homes, but the spirit of that community and the nurturing and the warmth that lives in that building, it's still palpable. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Francesca. So this is a little bit of a maybe tough question, but besides your mother, who else has been your biggest role model in dance and dance education?
Oh my God, do we have time to sit here all day? Okay, I would say, I think one person I haven't talked, well, 2 come to mind. When you talk about dance education, I think, William Forsyth for me was definitely a mentor. And I think now also being, in this position and thinking about Sylvia Waters, and like she's just constantly on my mind with, what to do next, and even her example. So I'll start with her because she grew up about 4 blocks away from my mother. So I would go to her house, my mom and I would go to Sylvia's house, and it was maybe 6 blocks away, like on 6th Avenue. And so she and her son Kenya, were there, and it was really like another family, another woman, and she and Mom and Judith Jamison, for me, were this triangle of really powerful women. So the 3 of them for me were very much, I think also seeing Judy for myself, growing up in dance and even in ballet was challenging, but to have Judy, because I always felt like muscular and too tall and too whatever, but seeing Judy, I was like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it, and that, for me to have that image in her, and so empowered. And then Sylvia, of course, now she has really been with me in terms of making decisions and thinking about her mentoring style. And she was so cool, too. She would have her little hats and, hey, how you doing? I mean, there was there was this kind of grassroots feeling to Sylvia that I really also like kind of keeping alive, so that, she, you're kind of accessible and you go around to the dancers and it's less formal that way. And that, for me, has been really just helpful in terms of finding my own style. And then William Forsyth, for me, is just my dance papa. He really was. I was over there, and it's rare, I think, also, I realized as a dance educator, and my mother told me years ago, when you see or you find that person, you will know, like the person you want to work for or the choreographer that you want to. And I remember seeing his work. We were on layoff at Dance Theater. Am I rambling?
No,
okay.
Go on.
All right, I'm rambling. Okay, all right, thank you, good, thank you. But I remember we were on layoff from Dance Theater of Harlem, and Melanie Person and I, we danced together at Dance Theater of Harlem. So we were on layoff for about 8 months, so I planned a tour to Europe, because I knew I wanted to continue my work in ballet. And I remember my friend Alan Barnes, who had also trained at Ailey. Alan Barnes, yes, I see you clapping. Legend. Anyway, but Alan had gone and joined the company. So, and I remember seeing them at City Center, the Frankfurt Ballet, and just being, I thought it was, oh my gosh, everybody was so different. These different sizes, different races, different, it was phenomenal. I'd never seen such diversity. Maybe Bill T. Jones-ish. Those two companies kind of come to mind in terms of diversity, and Ailey. But I think that seeing such diversity, and there was a radicalism to his work that I think was really also current at the time. And so I went to Stuttgart, Hamburg Ballet, and Frankfurt Ballet. I started in Frankfurt, and I was ready to go to Hamburg and Stuttgart, and I saw Bill Forsyth's work, and that voice, my mother had said, okay, you will know, that was it. I said, this is for me. It was, these funky, electronic rhythms, and the women were just empowered, and I felt there was a level of inclusivity in his work as an African-American ballet dancer that was really rare for me. Trying to find and carve my way in the ballet world, there was an invitation there, or even an acknowledgement. And so there was some inspiration that he had that I could tell. And he told me a story in turn that when he was young, growing up in Long Island, that he was really ostracized for dancing as a young boy. And there were these dancers, African-American, at a church, and they would invite him after school to go and dance with him in the basement. And so they were dancing, like he said, in this African-American church. And I remember in Frankfurt when I got there, and he would put on all this hip-hop, and we would be jamming after ballet class. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is, but that was really, it was authentic. It was what he loved. And thank goodness, he also took the risk and created those works that, I think at one point, a third of us, 10 out of 30 dancers were dancers of color in this European ballet company because of him and his inclusivity, and even just his inspiration. We were just flocking because we were attracted to this work. So yeah, and then I just talked to him yesterday on the phone. So we're still very much, we're friends and mentors, and to have someone really embrace you that way as a friend, as well as a dancer and colleague, has been really remarkably special.
Such heartwarming anecdotes.
Thank you. Yeah.
So a little bit of change in the question. What is the biggest challenge you experience working with today's generation?
Oh, okay. No, that's a big one, I think. Yes, I think the challenge for me has been social media. For me, social media and how it has impacted their sense of, or impacted their confidence or lack of confidence. That for me, I think, having grown up, and we were running to a payphone when we could find with a quarter, and we were really, I was thinking about that this morning. And, just the idea of socializing, we were constantly with our teachers, with each other, with our friends, just having to talk and to be checking out, and to the phone now. And just even some of the conversations that I have with my students and my dancers, just the level of insecurities and not feeling like they deserve and what's real. And I think even with where things have gone politically, maybe not even trusting the older generation, which has been really, challenging to just affirm, yes, we have, we're good people and we care and we have values, and, it's been challenging the last, few years, last decade, so to speak, with all that has transpired. So I think building their confidence for me, that, like I said, just going in and constantly affirming, I'm constantly telling that was good work. The dancers, when they're doing good work, that's good work. Okay, let's reproduce that tomorrow, But the idea of just affirming, so they start to really feel the response and this authentic mentoring and support, I think that has been something that I have felt has been challenging with this generation.
And keep up with the discipline and the perseverance. And
That's right. And the humility.
So you have a lot of close connections here. Antonio, Kervin, Ronald K Alexander, all part of the Ailey legacy. And you've also served as a member of the 2019-2020 Alumni Advisory Committee at the School of American Ballet and the Artistic Advisory Council at Move NYC. So tell us about your experience working with these incredible individuals and organizations.
Okay, I need my notes for this one. This one, I definitely need my notes. So, I just have so many connections with the people that we're honoring today. Okay, so my first one, Ron Alexander. Ron, I have known for many years. I think also we have been connected because of our ballet, and so few African American in ballet, and just your mentoring and teaching and our friendship. We've known each other for years, forever. But my favorite story was when I came to Dance Theater of Harlem, and you were working there at the time and choreographing at the time. I think myself and Ty Jimenez, who was also a dancer with Dance Theater of Harlem at the time, you chose the two of us, and you created the Minkus Pas de Trois, right? Well, the Sati, sorry, not Minkus Pas de Trois, but the Sati. And that was just one of the most incredible moments in my life, to be just going up to, I think I joined the second company, and I was so nervous, you just have these ambitions, and you're hoping somebody sees you, and you saw me. And I will never forget that moment. Ty and I still talk about it to this day. Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yes, love you. And Christine and I met in Bermuda when, when I was teaching for, we were both teaching for ABT. And we just hit it off. I'll never forget, we had these long conversations on the side of the studio just talking about life and art, and then you told me about your wonderful work in South Africa, and just, I was so impressed even then at your advocacy and your activism, so thank you very much. You got to meet my mother, that's right, my mom came to Bermuda at the time. I still have her kind of reclining and swimming in the pool. Yeah. Thank you so much for all you've done. And then Kay Maz, oh my goodness. I guess get a little shy seeing you, because, you were just one of my idols. I think, growing up and just falling in love with ballet. And I was at the School of American Ballet, so at the time we were just running to the theater and seeing you dancing at the height of your career, and just the nuance and the care and the expression in your work. I just think of what Stravinsky violin concerto with Peter Martins. I'll never forget that duet, and just your sensitivity and poetry was just such an inspiration. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, now you two. So, I have known these two forever, and I remember just young, this exuberance, Kervin, just at such a young age. Your talent was so obvious and unparalleled at the time, but your enthusiasm and your grace all the time, I always felt that with you. It was so interesting at such a young age that you had such a sense of humanity in the work, and it just being so much deeper than, like I said with Mom and the drama, there was never any drama. You were there for the work, it focused, right? And both of you just generation defining. You were really the luminaries and stars of your generation, pushing the boundaries. I remember when you came to Ailey with all that ballet, and the 4 and 5 pirouette and thing, and we were like, oh my gosh. But just phenomenal. Just thank you so much for just raising the bar, and now for continuing to raise the next generation, with all of those elements and aspects to who you are. So thank you so much. Thank you. I think my last anecdote, I know Risa's not here, but I'll share it with you, Brian. But Risa and I, we've known each other. I've, of course, just been an admirer of her. And she and I think maybe 2015, we were members of the cast of Sleep No More together. And we were, it was interesting because we were at a different point in our lives and we were still performing in this really incredible immersive work, and we had stations next to each other. So Risa and I were just constantly, we became really deep friends because we were performing, and I mean, she just became one of my confidants because we were working together, and we had our stations next to each other. And then I ended up working at Juilliard afterwards, and that was really wonderful to just encounter her again and just see her at work. And just really, you talk about authentic mentoring. It's just, I mean, she's just an example with all that she's done. So, and then look at you. Here you are, phenomenal choreographer. Yes, with that same authenticity and grace. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, ladies, for all that you've done. Really just phenomenal. I thank you all. Thank you. So there you go. I told you I needed my notes.
Okay, we have a few more minutes.
Oh my goodness, we made it.
We made it.
Okay.
What's the best and worst advice you've been given as a dance educator?
Oh, okay. I guess the best advice that I've been given is to be a humanitarian first. I remember I was working for William Forsyth, myself, and Helen Pickett, who was one of my contemporaries. We went out for drinks with Bill, and we were just saying, why did we work for you? We just don't understand why we were here. She was there for about 12 years. I was there for 9. And we're like, what is it about? Why did we want to stay here? And he said, it's important that you're a humanitarian first. And we realized, oh, that's what that was. We felt seen, we felt loved, we felt important as artists in his environment. So that's one thing. And the worst, I have blocked out. No, I don't. I think, it was funny, I was just thinking about the worst advice. Maybe because I have grown up with such luminaries and such positive examples, I really can't think of the worst. I've had bad experiences, but not ever from a dance educator that way. No, I don't think I've had bad advice. I probably would have to go back and really think about it, but nothing really comes to mind. It's just mostly positivity and encouragement. So I know, I'm sorry. I couldn't give you a better answer.
I was looking for...
I know you were. You were looking for some dirt. I know. I know. I need more time for dirt. I think I really also, too, probably from my mother's advice, was like, if somebody tells you bad advice, you don't have time for it. Like, you've just got to keep pushing forward, and you got to take the positive and just keep on plugging forward. So I think that I'm just probably wired that way.
I'm curious, did you ever dance competitively? How do you feel about the dance competition world?
I have not danced competitively, but I will tell you that I have some dancers that have trained competitively that are phenomenal. I think of some of my company members now. Spencer Everett is an Ailey team member and just trained competitively. Tim Stickney, who also went to Ailey, trained competitively, and they are just phenomenal. It's interesting to think about, I think, having to perform at that level all the time. There's something about the confidence that's instilled from the experience of performing and performing and performing. I think I think one of the things that happens when competitive dancers go into an institution like Ailey or anywhere else is that they're able to kind of open up other voices and get into deeper aspects of their identity, which I think, I don't know, but I think that some of my dancers have talked about that and how nice it is for them to have time to really process things as opposed to be product oriented, to get something, to produce something, but to really have a process. So
Thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What message do you have for today's dance educators who are continually working to inspire and empower the next generation?
Oh my goodness. I think I think the first thing that comes to mind is just that reciprocity. Just that how enriching and important listening to students or young artists and how fulfilling that can be. The idea of, yes, we're there with all of our experience and our education to coach and train, but I'm constantly surprised by, how much living they've already done at such a young age, and the insight and awareness that they have as humans. And that, for me, like, listening or being aware of that and how that feeds my life is powerful.
Wonderful. My very last question. What's next for you, Francesca? What do you feel will be your lasting legacy in the dance world?
I mean, first, just to continue what I received, I just hope that people are inspired by my presence, by my work, like I was by all of these wonderful artists and my mother, and my new family, my collaborators. And it's great working with Robert closely. I think, I hope, like I said, I'm a risk taker, and we've had already we did our first ever immersive work for Ailey, which was very exciting at Wave Hill. So that was already, one. I've done a couple of dance films for the company, and so I hope to kind of bring this progressive lens and like what's next? Oh, we can look maybe towards Fran and see some of what's next. That's what I'm hoping I'll leave with my legacy, and a lot of joy. A lot of joy.
Thank you, Francesca. This has been truly inspiring, and there's so much words of wisdom that you've imparted on everybody here today. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're so delighted and honored to have you. And one more round of applause, Francesca Harper.
All right, it's recital time. Costumes, check. Music, check. Tickets for parents. Uh-oh. You've got 1,000 things to do to get ready for this recital, and managing ticket sales manually on your own takes way too much time. But the truth is, no matter how beautifully your students perform, if purchasing tickets is a pain for parents, then those students may not be back next year. Well, this is no longer a solo. It's a duet. Introducing Tututix, your new dance partner. Our professional ticketing service was designed exclusively for dance studios. With one call, Tututix will completely manage your ticket sales, sparing you the headache and giving you more time when you need it most. Oh, and by the way, parents have a ton of convenient ways to order, and Tututix can deliver e-tickets directly to their inbox or smartphone. We can even mail foil-embossed keepsake tickets customized with students' names. So, music, check. Costumes, check. Awesome happy parents and students returning next year, check. Get started with Tututix today and take the hassle out of ticketing your next performance.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amy Brandt. I'm Senior Consulting Editor at Dance Teacher and also Editor-in-Chief of Point Magazine. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm honored to present our first 2 Dance Teacher Awards. As a principal dancer with New York City Ballet, Kay Mazo's extreme delicacy, musicality, and sense of style inspired George Balanchine to create nearly a dozen roles for her. A native of Chicago, she moved to New York City to study full-time at Balanchine's School of American Ballet at age 13. Almost immediately after joining City Ballet, she performed soloist and principal roles. But one could argue that Mazo's most significant impact came after her retirement. She told us, "I always knew I wanted to teach, and Mr. Balanchine knew that too." She joined the permanent faculty at SAB in 1983, becoming its co-chairman of faculty in 1997, and then its chair of faculty from 2018 until just this past June, and she is still teaching there today. For almost 4 decades, Kay has shaped the lives and careers of countless SAB students, including many of the ballet world's biggest stars. With her focused presence in the studio, she has carefully passed down the specificities of Balanchine's aesthetic, the musicality, precision, and energy that his work is so famous for. Under her leadership, she's worked to preserve his legacy while simultaneously preparing SAB dancers to take on versatile demands of today's dance world. To quote one of her students, the writer and former dancer Gavin Larson, she imparts a quiet inner strength and sense of purpose to young dancers, along with the egoless nature of their shared mission to develop into the best dancers they can be with Balanchine's principles as their foundation. It is my pleasure to introduce Dance Teacher's 2022 Award of Distinction to Kay Mazo.
Hi, everybody. It's just it's a great honor when I hear about all these wonderful dance educators that I have in this front row and a lot of you back there. And it's really touching to have us all together. And I'm just kind of overwhelmed. I have something I'm going to be reading, but and then hearing Francesca, I know actually that our dance world is in great shape for the future after hearing all of this. So, I'm just going to say, when I realized that Dance Teacher was first published 45 years ago by a woman by the name of Susan Wershing, who I didn't know, but I'd like to thank the Dance Teacher publication for giving me this honor. I have been so fortunate in my life to have parents who understood my dream at the age of 8 to dance for George Balanchine and dance his extraordinary ballets. I was in the Nutcracker in Chicago, and I said to my mom that I saw Maria Tallchief, Tana Keel Leclerc, Diana Adams, Melissa Hayden, and I said, that's what I want to do. So without my parents, my dream wouldn't have come true. And again, how fortunate I was to be able to immerse myself in our dance world, our ballet world, to have a career and then the privilege to be taught by the world's extraordinary teachers. I have to mention them: Madame Tumkovsky, Madame Dubrovska, Madame Duden, Madame Danilova, Miss Stewart, and the men Obukov, Vladimirov, and Stanley Williams. These were the who's who of the ballet dance world and dance teachers, and we worked with them every day, and it was a dream that I had, and it came true. After dancing in the New York City Ballet for 20 years, when I retired, Mr. Balanchine said, "All right, now you're going to the school to teach." And I said, "Yes, sir," and I wanted to, but I sort of always thought I was going to have a small school out in the suburbs somewhere, and when he told me that, I said, absolutely, I would love to. So I did it. And after quite a few years, I became chairman of the faculty, and which meant that I have been dealing day to day with our extraordinarily gifted students and their parents, our wonderful pianists, and our world-class faculty that we have. And also I was teaching, and I have been teaching, which made my life complete. So back to being fortunate, I have my work and I have my family. I think one's life should be rounded. I have an incredibly supportive husband, Albert Bellis, two wonderful children, Andrew and Katie, who both went to SAB, but didn't become dancers. I have two adorable grandchildren, Roman and Agnes, and a loving daughter-in-law, Rachel. So, again, fortunate in everything that's happened to me in my life. And I just do thank God for this art form because it defines life, it gives our life meaning, and it's made my life what it is today. I'm happy, I'm grateful, and I'm fulfilled. So what can anybody ask for? Nothing more than that. And so I, again, thank you so much for this honor. And I think that this is a very special group, and enjoy one another and appreciate one another. And I thank you so much.
Congratulations, Kay. Our next award, after a successful career with the Stuttgart Ballet and American Ballet Theater, Christine Elliott retired from the stage in 1982 with no plans to teach. But more than 3 decades later, Elliott is an in-demand international coach, teaching everyone from pre-professional students to senior citizens. For 25 years, she's taught open class at Zohar Dance Company in Palo Alto, California, and she's been a guest teacher at San Francisco Ballet School, ODC San Francisco, Lines Dance Center, Kotzebue International Dance Center, and ABT. One of Christine's greatest contributions is through her nonprofit, Gugulethu Ballet Project, which brings ballet to young dancers in South African townships. Christine has been dancing annually in South Africa since 2004, creating opportunities for cross-cultural exchange between the artists there and in the US. She started a residency program at Stanford University, giving South African dancers opportunities to travel to America to teach and perform, and later created the Dance South Africa course at St. Mary's College for California's LEAP program, sending professional dancers from the US to teach at dance schools in the townships of Cape Town. She helped schools purchase data during the pandemic so they could remain connected over Zoom classes, and provides clothing, shoes, and other equipment so that the dancers in these townships have the tools they need to succeed. As Christine told Dance Teacher earlier this month, teaching goes so much beyond the studio. It is my great honor to present Christine Elliott with a 2022 Dance Teacher Award.
Thank you, Dance Teacher Media, for this wonderful award. You know, there are so many fantastic teachers in the world, and right here amongst us doing good work, that I'm really humbled and very honored to receive this award. Thank you. So I wanted to shout out about my first ballet teacher. His name is Richard Gibson. he impacted my life very deeply from the moment that I was given my first pair of pointe shoes to when he took me to my audition for the Stuttgart Ballet, where I began my career. So I just wanted to say infinite thanks to Richard Gibson. After my career on the stage, I really did not want to teach. I had no desire to teach at all. But I moved to San Francisco, and a friend of mine was starting a small ballet chamber company, and he asked me if I would help him out and actually co-direct with him. I said, no, I'm not going to teach. But he asked me, and I reluctantly said I would try a few classes. And, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So most of the dancers that I was working with at that time were professional dancers. So I harked back to the most recent experience I had was working with Maggie Black, who was our guru in New York when I was here. And, so her positive teaching and her was not even a thing at that time. We had such a wonderful atmosphere, and she helped so many hundreds of us. It wasn't just me, but so it was a nice transition for me to use that model on professional dancers. And we are forever grateful to Maggie Black, who Mr. Balanchine called Black Magic because he could fix even a lot of people. So when I moved out of San Francisco with my husband and my family so that we could raise our children, I was asked to teach at the Zohar School of Dance in Palo Alto and American Ballet Theater summer intensives. And I also fell into teaching at Stanford University. It was a really very, very challenging opportunity for me. The whole focus was extremely academic. I had to prepare rigorous syllabus and reading materials and grading papers and goal-oriented and outcome. So I found myself constantly, defending ballet as a university subject. So I also then realized that I needed to formulate my classes in a way that was creating an experience of joy within some difficulties. But I have to say that it was one of the more rewarding experiences of my life. And one of my students, my former students here, Ailey Folk, is here in New York City. She works here now and is now on my board of directors at Guguletu Ballet Project. So Stanford was a very rewarding experience for me in many ways. There, at the university, I saw a documentary film made by a Stanford student called Guguletu Ballet. Guguletu is a word in Isikosa, and I don't say it properly. I'm working on my clicks. It means our pride. It was a very moving film about a white man who was dancing in Cape Town City Ballet, South Africa, who said, "Why are there no black people on this stage with me? I live in a country where the majority of the population is black." And he went directly into the township of Guguletu and started to teach the children there, which was quite heroic and very brave. It was during apartheid. And the result was quite surprising. The children loved ballet. They loved the music, they loved the rigor, they loved the discipline. They loved that somebody was there every day demanding excellence of them, and it was a safe place for them to go. So I wanted to go there. I said, this is an opportunity for me. I know how to teach, and maybe I could make a difference. But how was I going to do that? And another whole learning curve about fundraising, writing grants. Stanford University did support my work there for several years. I needed to learn about South Africa, a country I didn't know a lot about. I needed to learn the history, I needed to learn the politics. I didn't want to be that white person that naively comes in to fix Africa. But I did it. It all came together, and I went to South Africa for the first time, and I really fell in love with those beautiful, talented black children in extremely disadvantaged communities. I saw two dancers, Umbulelo and Batembu, and I said, they need to come to America. This is a moment where they're going to have to fly. And I brought them to San Francisco to work with my teacher, Richard Gibson, and he made a stunning duet for them. They brought it back to South Africa and performed it over and over again. And this experience just gave them a chance to dream beyond their circumstances. Batembo is currently dancing in the Hamburg production of Lion King, and Mbalelo danced with Rambert and Matthew Bourne and Wayne McGregor. He's really gone on to do great things. I've been returning to South Africa for 18 years plus to teach and bring choreography and choreographers and to identify dancers that should come to America. It's been 2 every summer, except for this past summer we had 5 students come. Yes, the work continues. We had 4 at the Lions Ballet in San Francisco, and one of our dancers is at the Manhattan Youth Ballet right now, and I hope he'll come later, Apiwe. So the teaching has really opened a lot of doors for me, and also doors that have opened windows of opportunity to change the lives, many lives through dance. And so I'm really grateful for being able to teach ballet in my life, and I just want to leave you with my favorite African proverb, which is Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. Thank you very much.
My name is Lydia Murray. I am the managing editor of Dance Teacher, Point, and Dance Business Weekly, and I am honored to introduce Ronald K Alexander. Ronald Alexander's impact as a teacher has been profound. After being diagnosed with scoliosis at age 16, he began dancing to improve his condition. But he quickly fell in love with dance, and dance fell in love with him right back. He soon found himself studying ballet in his spare time while attending Boston University. It set him on the path to becoming a world-renowned dancer, eventually joining the National Ballet of Canada, the Iranian National Ballet, the Frankfurt Ballet, and Hamburg Ballet. At the height of his performance career, he retired from the stage, but his legacy would not end there. He found a new role as not only an educator, but a mentor, especially to young Black dancers and dancers of color. He earned a Master of Fine Arts in Dance from New York University, and he was personally selected by Arthur Mitchell to become the director of the Dance Theater of Harlem School. Currently, he's on faculty at the Ailey School, the Stella Adler School of Acting, the Black Arts Institute, and Concepts Dance Academy. He is also Director of Education Emeritus at the Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Youth Arts Academy in Brooklyn. To quote Mr. Alexander, ballet is a European art form based on white bodies, but that doesn't mean that people of color can't do it or cannot participate in it. It is my honor to present the 2022 Dance Teacher Award to my former teacher, Mr. Ronald K. Alexander.
Good afternoon. A pleasure indeed to be here at the 2022 Dance Teacher Awards, and thank all the staff and editors of Dance Teacher magazine. I would like to begin with the following quote by yours truly. Why not? It's from an upcoming book, Our Open Casket to the World. Black Lives Matter, Bed-Stuy, 2022. It will be out in September. Text by Dr. Indira Etwaru and edited by Dr. Etwaru, former Executive Director of Restoration Art, Bedford-Stuyvesant Corporation, and Hollis King, Creative Consultant at Restoration Art. Quote, "The protest sparked by the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Emmett Till, and others have been dramatically displayed in Brooklyn's Billie Holiday Theater's Black Lives Matter mural, and in photos by Hollis King of professional dancers, some former students, and mentees. Dancing, Bernard Gilmore, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, Sanford Plessett, Dance Theater of Harlem, Gabe Stone Scher, American Ballet Theater, and Danielle Thomas, Dance Theater of Harlem. They illustrate not only a pivotal moment in movement in history, but a moment in movement. Dance and public protests have joined hand in hand, exemplified by gravity-defying jetés, sinuous backbends, and infinite arabesques, dripping in Geoffrey Holder-inspired costumes and jewelry. Around these persona acts of dancing, these photos celebrate unforgettable ideals: liberation, joy, self-expression, but most importantly, a broken system of injustice and violence that has not yet come to terms with the matter of Black lives. The act of teaching as protest, as teachers, are the conduit to this action with their students. Therefore, representation matters. And why does it matter? Because it is imperative that students see themselves in the classroom, in the studio, and on stage. To see themselves. To see themselves in other colleagues, performers, artistic administrative directors, choreographers, and their teacher. And as a Black, gay, male senior citizen, I am proud to be a role model. Honored to be the former Director of Education at the Youth Arts Academy at Restoration Art under Dr. Indira Etwaru, and currently on the following faculties: the Ailey School, Black Arts Institute, Stella Adler School of Acting in New York City, and Concept Dance Academy. I'm coming back. In South Orange, New Jersey. In the 40-odd years I have been teaching ballet in New York City public schools, nonprofit and private institutions in the tri-state area, nothing gives me greater pleasure and pride than to see my students perform, utilizing the skills of the craft and the artistry instilled in them. When I teach, I am constantly asking these questions. How do I convince my students not only to do, but to feel the technique? And how does this manifest into artistry and the music, or lack of, that propels the craft? I enjoyed a performing career that spanned over a decade, dancing on some of the most well-renowned stages and equally well-renowned dance companies. To quote Thomas Ford, "For a Black man who started dancing relatively late with a corrective pin in his spine and to perform ballet no less. This was no mean feat. So I'll give myself a little credit here. Inspiration and guidance came from my teachers, and I have been blessed with extraordinary ones. First and foremost, Peggy Cooper Cafridge and Mike Malone, co-directors of workshops for the careers in the arts, and eventually that program became the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. Miss Dolores Brown. A former, well, she's always been a Brown ballerina, but she was a former scholarship director of the Ailey School, along with Tom Stevens, who was the director at the time. Yes. Billy Wilson, a premier danseur with the Dutch National Ballet and Broadway and concert choreographers. When I used to go up to Roxbury, and that's where I met Miss Brown, she was dancing in the company there. That was actually led by Tally Beattie at the time, but Billy Wilson took over. I saw the most incredible, good-looking, this man was stunning. I said, I want to be just like him. He was just so incredible, but he also was an incredible dancer, right out of Philadelphia, right along with Miss Brown. These were my idols. Again, representation matters. Representation as protest. Equally important was David Shields, former soloist with the Royal Ballet, and Nancy Bielski. Yes, I'm sure a lot of you know who she is. Former Harkness dancer and teacher extraordinaire, instilled a strong Royal Ballet School foundation in me, which ultimately led me to Canada's National Ballet School, the National Ballet Company, and dancing with Rudolph Nureyev at the Metropolitan Opera House. As they say, the rest is history. It is with tremendous joy and satisfaction when I see students achieve the seemingly impossible to dance professionally. But equally satisfying when I teach students in my absolute beginning ballet class at the Ailey Extension to execute that tendu at the bar and chassés traveling across the floor. Teaching as protest. Representation matters. To quote Mr. Arthur Mitchell, who changed the face, the color, and body of classical ballet. As a teacher, an arts administrator, and a choreographer, you are in service to others and in service to the art form. Thank you.
Antonio and Kervin Douthit Boyd are role models for the next generation. As co-artistic directors of dance at the Center of Creative Arts in St. Louis, Missouri, the two have demonstrated leadership through flexibility and by fostering meaningful collaboration between teachers and students. Antonio began dancing at age 16, ultimately rising to become a soloist with Dance Theater of Harlem and a principal artist with Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. In addition to leading dance at COCA, he is also pursuing his MFA from Hollins University. Kervin began his dance journey at the Boston Arts Academy and performed with such companies as Battleworks Dance Company and Ailey 2 before joining the main company at Alvin Ailey in 2004. In addition to his role at COCA, he is now also the artistic director of Big Muddy Dance Company. In their recent interview with Dance Teacher, Antonio and Kervin encourage teachers to continue learning from and working with other instructors. To quote Antonio, "Learn from each other, or the dance field stops growing as a whole. Listen to your students, not just their voices, but their bodies and hearts. We want them to know they have our trust, and we're there for them, whether they decide to become doctors, lawyers, or dancers." And Kervin added, "The most valuable educators are the ones who do it totally selflessly." It is my honor to present the 2022 Dance Teacher Award to Antonio and Kervin Douthit Boyd.
Hey, family. So you must excuse me. I've danced, everywhere in the world, but speaking in front of people is still not one of my favorite things to do, so bear with me. I want to thank the team at Dance Teacher Magazine. Thank you to the individuals who nominated us, and to the selection committee for choosing us. Congratulations to all of the honorees. It's incredible to be recognized alongside of you. I thank you for continuing to pour yourselves into your work and for the impact that you continue to make on the dance community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, such an honor. I do this work with great pride. Antonio and I are privileged to serve a community filled with brilliant young minds. Just this past year, we had a graduate who was deciding whether or not she was going to be an epidemiologist or a ballerina. And, I felt like that was a great problem to have. She ultimately ended up at Ailey Fordham, where she's also studying environmental science. I don't know when she sleeps, right? And she could dance her whole behind off, I'm telling you, listen. It's no secret that St. Louis has some challenges, but the arts serve as a bright spot and a pillar of hope that keep our kids inspired. We continue to evolve so that we can show them possibilities. I'm blessed to be able to share this responsibility with my husband, who approaches his work with what I think is the perfect balance of love and accountability. He really knows how to inspire agency in the room while also demanding that they stay really high on the hip. I thank you for sharing your community with me, and I look forward to leading our babies to many aha moments for generations to come.
So everyone had their speeches all prepared. I just want to thank my family. I want to thank our family and friends who are here with us today. Without you guys, Kervin and I could not do the work that we do. I want to thank my first dance teacher who gave me some bad advice, Francesca. She did give me some bad advice. She gave me my love for ballet, but the advice she gave me said I had to choose. I had to choose whether I was going to do ballet, if I was going to do modern dance, if I was going to be a jazz dancer. And I got to New York City and I met Arthur Mitchell. And Arthur Mitchell said, "You can do whatever you want to do, but you're going to do it right here at the Dance of Harlem." And he never called me by my name. I was always in North Carolina. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. It was like, "Mr. North Carolina." I was like, "Why does he keep calling me that?" I was like, "I'm not." But I never questioned it. I never questioned him. And he said, "If you want to be a star, I can make you a star." And from that moment on, I trusted everything that he said. I leaned into every word that he said. And then my path took me to the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, where I met Judith Jamison. And this award, I want to give her the most props out of anyone that she gave me the most valuable advice from anyone I ever had, and it was surround yourself with people who are smarter in ways that you're not. And so this award is for all the teachers and the staff that we have at COCA, all of the students and the parents who trust us with their work and the work that we're doing. This award is for them. So thank you guys so much for this honor today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Margaret Fearer. I'm editor-in-chief and producer of the Dance Edit newsletter and podcast, and also a former dance teacher editor, so part of the extended dance teacher family, which has never felt more like a family than it does right now. It's really wonderful to be in this room with all of you. So, Ananeri Fragoso. Ananeri Fragoso's teaching career has been defined by collaboration and community building. She taught pre-K through 5th grade at PS 315 for 11 years, where she centered dance composition in her curriculum and established a residency program that allowed students to work with local dance organizations. From 2014 to 2021, as Director of Dance at the New York City Department of Education, she oversaw the development of new programs, from mentorships for new teachers to an annual showcase for choreography by DOE teachers, to the Dance Unit Project, which allows teachers to submit lesson plans for publication as a series of booklets that are available to all DOE dance educators. Last year, Fragoso was named director of the Arnhold Graduate Dance Education Program at Hunter College, her alma mater, where she advises the program's grad students, teaches pedagogy, leads a student teaching seminar, and is actively working to strengthen the department's ties with the school's BA and MFA dance programs. As she puts it, in the field, your peers are your best resource. I want to create communities that are generous so we can all learn from each other. She is truly a teacher's teacher. I am delighted to present the 2022 Dance Teacher Award to Ananeri Fragoso.
Good afternoon, everyone. My fellow dance educators, so many wonderful colleagues and friends in the room today. So much knowledge and passion for dance education. It is quite intimidating, actually. First, I would like to thank the Dance Teacher Awards Committee and everyone who supported my nomination for this incredible honor. I am truly, truly humbled. I share this award with my family and friends who have lovingly and patiently kept me going all these years. I also would like to congratulate this year's awardees whose contributions to our field are impressive. I am honored to share this moment with all of you. 27 years ago, I took the first foundations course at the Dance Education Laboratory, which changed my dance career forever. I fell in love with a K-12 holistic and inclusive approach to teaching dance and decided to become a public school dance teacher. Since then, I have been learning tirelessly from my mentors and dear friends, Jody Arnhold, John Fickenstein, Tina Curran, so many, as well as from my passionate, knowledgeable dance colleagues at the DOE, those teachers who are every day dancing with our kids. You are my heroes. And from everyone in my extended families, at Dell, the Office of Arts and Special Projects, Teachers College, and now from my new family at Hunter College. Our chair, Paul Dennis, and stellar faculty and staff, we're making so much good trouble. But most of all, I have learned from my creative, diverse, and highly kinetic students at PS 315 and EVCS, who taught me that transformational learning only happens when the not-so-secret ingredients of love, empathy, and compassion are at the heart of the educational experience. Now I am learning from our incredibly talented students at the Arnhold Graduate Dance Education Program at Hunter, who are the new generation of dance educators. I am amazed by their open-mindedness, commitment to social justice, and brave vulnerability. I am so excited to witness and support their own dance education journeys. I just hope that my teaching and learning journey will continue to be as fulfilling and fun as it has been so far. Thank you.
New York native and flamenco, salsa, and Spanish dance teacher Yvonne Gutierrez exemplifies the idea that dance need not throw out tradition in order to make its classrooms accessible to all communities. From teaching aspiring pre-professionals in Ballet Hispanico's junior company and school, to tailoring enrichment classes for the Henry Street settlement residents, to choreographing liturgical dances for the young women of St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church, Gutierrez's teaching career models what outreach and inclusion can and should look like in dance spaces. It is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's asking what a community or a student needs and meeting them there. She describes feedback as a two-way street that nourishes both student and instructor, and emphasizes the importance of connecting dance with students' experiences outside the studio. Most recently, Yvonne was in residency with the Pathways to Graduation Tenzer Learning Center in Manhattan, where she taught salsa dance to immigrants preparing for their GED exams. She is also one of the core founding members of the Black Flamenco Network, which was founded in 2020 as a global network of African-descended flamenco artists, aiming to make flamenco a more inclusive art form. It is my great pleasure to present the 2022 Dance Teacher Award to Yvonne Gutierrez.
Thank you, Dance Teacher Award. Thank you to God, first of all. And I want to say a special thank you to my mom, who would have been here with us, but she passed. She transcended 9 months ago. So I know she's here with us. She is my guide, and she's always been my guide. And I want to thank my family for being here and being such a support. They've always been supportive. Without them, I wouldn't be here, and I want to say a little. Okay. Eso to you, okay? Gracias. Thank you very much. I believe life is a dance. Whether you're a dancer or not, life is about dance. Dance to me is about connections, connecting. How do we connect to the music? How we connect to each other? How we connect to the musician? How we connect just one to another? So I can connect with you, that's movement, that's dance. Dance, connect with me, connect with your students. What do your students have to say? What do you say to your students? It's not a one-way street. We are talking about respect both ways. Yes, it is a new generation. They have a different meaning for the word respect, not what we would do when we see our elders. When we used to see our elders, it was about respect, and we knew with just a look. Now, you look and you talk, and the respect is different. So we move on, so respect is both ways. We have to learn how to move, how to go with the flow. So when they say dancing and moving to the beat of our own drum, what is that beat? Your own drum, your music, your rhythm? What rhythm do you use? Do you use this rhythm? Is it staccato? Or is it... So what moves you? What moves you? There are different things that connect us. And I think as a community, I am humbled, grateful, and blessed to be in this community of artists, game changers. When they say the hashtag, be the change, are you the change? We're the change. This is the change right here. So when you're talking about be the change, we all want to be the change. We want to be that community. We want to give back. We want our future to look bright. The future looks bright. We had so many artists. I can tell you from the beginning of my teaching career, I started very young. I started teaching at the age of 19, and it was thanks to Tina Ramirez, the founder of Ballet Hispanico. Tina, she appointed me to start teaching in the school, and she was like, Yvonne, you have to teach this way, and you have to use imagery, and you have to, but she was very open. She was very open, and actually, if she gave me a couple of classes, you know that there was something behind it. And that push and that drive, my training was at Ballet Hispanico, even though I started before that with actually her sister in a community setting where my father worked for the unions, and that's how I began dancing, and her sister actually took me to Ballet Hispanico. I started there. I was already trained in ballet because that's what I took first. That's what her sister taught. She taught ballet, and it was ballet to the children of the hotel union workers. That's how it started. And from that, we moved on. She shows I went to a recital at Ballet Hispanico, fell in love with the flamenco, and that was history with that. Had many very, 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 very famous people around me. At the time, it was really a rich history at Ballet Hispanico because Tina knew a lot of professionals. Alvin Ailey, Arthur Mitchell, you had people from the Graham School. One of my accompanists was Elliott, who was the composer of the Graham School. So I had a very much light there. Met Louis Johnson. Louis Johnson, eventually I worked for Louis Johnson at Abrams Art Center, so I really had a rich history in my development and the way that I see dance and the way I see community and the way that I see people. My big thing is, can we, with all of the funds and everything that we're getting, our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, can we use the funds for what it's earmarked for? If we are looking to change a generation, if the monies that we have go to that generation, when you go to a school, representation matters, and I totally agree with Ronald Alexander, it surely matters because it is my hashtag when I post a lot, representation actually matters. Can you represent what your funding is for? Okay, can we see those black and brown? It doesn't only have to be, obviously we're inclusive, but can we see more black and brown bodies in these places? Can the money be used towards this community? I mean, it's a flourishing community, and just to prove like a little bit of dance, I want to thank everyone and just end with, can I hear from this side of the room, everybody clap, 1, 2, 3, and then on this side of the room, go 4, 5. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. Because we are learners, and pa-ca-ca, and that's our clave. That's the Cuban in me, keep going. And go, 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 and we thank everybody. Keep going, we're learners, let's go. Discipline, discipline, rhythm, and I'm moving, and thank you all. Thank you very much, thank you.
It's the exacting standards that Risa Steinberg sets for herself and for her students that has made her one of New York City's most beloved educators and an in-demand master teacher all over the world. A longtime Juilliard faculty member and Le Monde repetiteur, Risa's career has followed a unique path. Rather than beginning as a performer and later transitioning to teaching, she has always done both simultaneously. While dancing with the Le Monde Dance Company and with choreographers like Anna Sokolow, Bill Craddy, and Annabelle Gamson, Risa continued to develop her pedagogy and became known for her challenging, illuminating Le Monde classes. As a lauded solo artist, she interpreted works spanning the history of modern dance, from Isadora Duncan to Mark Morris, and most recently as a cast member of the popular immersive production Sleep No More. Risa's careful eye and curious mind have also established her as a go-to mentor for some of contemporary dance most exciting dance makers such as Kyle Abraham, Brian Brooks, and Kate Weir. The same skill set that has made her indispensable to these artists is what makes her such a perceptive educator. Risa puts it best when she says, "It's a gift that somebody will walk into a studio and believe that I have something to share with them. I think that's something to be proud of. I'm a very tough teacher. I demand a lot. If I think a person can achieve it, I'm going to ask for it. I'll ask for what I think they can achieve in that moment, and then a little bit more." It's an honor for me to present Dance Teachers 2022 Award of Distinction to Risa Steinberg, and to have renowned choreographer, artistic director, and Risa's dance mentee, Brian Brooks, to accept this award on her behalf.
Oh my. This is quite a room. I'm a student of Risa Steinberg's. I would go anywhere she asked, and so I'm here to read something for you today. I actually remember the first moment I met Risa, and she was coaching me as a dancer. It was in 1995 here in New York. We began the piece. She says, "Stop, go back." I said, "We haven't done anything yet." And she said, "Where are you looking? How do you begin?" I feel like it's been one steady step after another ever since. Been greatly humbled to have been asked to be here. I'm going to read what she wrote. She's back teaching. She's at her 5 summer festivals that have been on hiatus, so she's in Vancouver right now. She's very sad she can't be with you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here to share in this amazing occasion. I do wish I were here in person, but in fact, I'm out of town teaching. To begin, I would like to say congratulations to Kay. To stand beside you is such an honor, as well as to Ronald, Antonio, Kerven, Christine, Anna, and Yvonne. So glad to see your contributions to the field recognized. I'm grateful to share and be in this community with you. When I'm mentoring and training other teachers, the first thing I say to them is, teaching is a noble profession that carries with it an enormous responsibility. To be recognized by Dance Teacher magazine is deeply humbling, as the periodical has and continues to dedicate itself to the profession and the professionals who, on a daily basis, take on this responsibility. The responsibility of guiding a dancer by meeting them daily and taking them from point A, where they are when they enter the studio, to point B, where they can get to by the time they leave the studio. Thank you for this extraordinary recognition. I'm grateful to have found teaching so young in my professional life, as teaching has surely been one of my greatest teachers. It does not lie. It is always demanding, and if done well, it always gives back. I want to thank the teachers I have had throughout the years. Your passion and brilliance every day challenged me to understand how high the bar can be set when standing in front of a class, and to not be scared just to do that. If you've been in the studio with Risa, you know how high that bar is. But most importantly, thank you to every student who enters or has entered or will enter a class I'm about to teach, trusting me to guide, to lead, and to make decisions that will potentially impact you on so many levels. You have taught me how to teach you. You have taught me when you give space, when to give space, when to push, when to question, and when to listen. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for the 2022 Dance Teacher Awards. I want to thank our selection committee, which included Nigel Campbell, Chanel De Silva, Charla Jen, Dr. Naya McCarthy-Brown, Peter Stark, Joanna Harp, and myself. A big thank you to our sponsors, 22TIX, 92NY Dance Education Laboratory, Dance Theater of Harlem, and Dance NYC, as well as to the incredible dance media editorial and marketing team for putting this event together. Thank you again to Francesca Harper, and also to the Sheen Center for helping us with all the arrangements in hosting this year's award ceremony at this beautiful venue. Congratulations again to all our honorees. We are so grateful to celebrate you and all you've done for the dance and dance education community. And now it's time to continue the celebration. For those of you who will be joining us for the cocktail reception funding the Dance Teacher Scholarship at Move NYC, please proceed to the main door on your left. For everyone else, you may use the doors at the back to exit the theater. Again, thank you all for being a part of the 2022 Dance Teacher Awards ceremony. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.